Welcome and welcome back. My name is Tony, and this is Reading the Bible in a Year. Today is day 85, and we're going to be covering Joshua 12 through 15. Yesterday, we covered Joshua 9 through 11, and basically, Joshua and the Israelite people are obedient to God, and they're faithful to God, and they're following God's plan, and in turn, God has just given them victory after victory over all their enemies. So it's so nice to see. It's nice as we look at, from the outside looking in. Man, how nice is it for these people when they follow God's will? Their life goes smooth. It goes easy, and when they don't. It isn't. So we can see that from these readings here lately. But yesterday they were following God's will, and they just got lots and lots of victories. So that's what I took out of that. Let's say a short prayer and we'll get into today's lesson. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for another day of life. Thank you for having a plan for us and providing for us. Lord, just give us the wisdom to find your plan, to seek out your plan for us and our lives, Lord, so things will go smoothly for us, Lord. Lord, please open the message today, to open our eyes to see the message from today, open our ears to hear it, and open our hearts to receive it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. This is Joshua 12 through 15. Joshua 12. The defeated kings. These are the kings that the people of Israel defeated, and whose land they took on the east of the Jordan, from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon, with the whole eastern side of the Arabah Valley. Shihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned from Heshbon. His rule extended from Aroer, which sits at the edge of the Arnon Gorge, from the middle of the gorge and over half of Gilead to the gorge of the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. His rule included the eastern Arabah Valley, from the Sea of Kinnereth to the Arabah Sea, the Salt Sea, eastward towards Beth Jeshimoth, and southward to the slopes of Pisgah. And Og, king of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephaim, who reigned from Ashtaroth and Edrei. His rule extended from Mount Hermon and Salakah over the whole of Bashan to the border of the Gershurites and the Maccathites, the other half of Gilead, to the border of Shihon, king of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of God, and the people of Israel defeated them. And Moses, the servant of God, gave this land as an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. And these are the kings of the land that Joshua and the people of Israel defeated in the country west of the Jordan, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon, south to Mount Halak, which towers over Sur. Joshua gave this land to the tribes of Israel as a possession, according to their divisions: lands in the mountains, the western foothills, the Arabah Valley, on the slopes, and in the wilderness, and the Negev desert, lands on which the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites had lived. The kings were the king of Jericho, the king of Ai, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Gezer, the king of Debir, the king of Geder, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnah, the king of Adullam, the king of Makkedah, the king of Bethel, the king of Tappuah, the king of Hepher, the king of Aphek, the king of Lasharon, the king of Medan, the king of Hazor, the king of Shimron-Meron, the king of Ashlap, the king of Tanakh, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kadesh, the king of Jokneam in Carmel, the king of Dor, Naphath Dor, the king of Goyim in Gilgal, and the king of Tirzah, a total of 31 kings. 13. The receiving of land. When Joshua had reached a venerable age, God said to him, "You've had a good long life, but there is a lot of land still to be taken. This is the land that remains. All the districts of the Philistines and Gershurites, the land from the Shihor River east of Egypt to the border of Ekron up north, Canaanite country. There were 5 Philistine tyrants in Gaza, in Ashdod, in Ashkelon, in Gath, in Ekron. also the Avim from the south. All the Canaanite land from Ara, belonging to the Sidonians, to Aphek at the Amorite border, the country of the Gebalites, all Lebanon eastward from Baal-Gad in the shadow of Mount Hermon to the entrance of Hamath, all who live in the mountains, from Lebanon to Misrephoth, Maim, all the Sidonians. I myself will drive them out before the people of Israel. All you have to do is allot this land to Israel as an inheritance, as I have instructed you. Do it now. Allot this land as an inheritance to the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Land east of the Jordan. The other half-tribe of Manasseh, with the Reubenites and Gadites, had been given their inheritance by Moses on the other side of the Jordan, eastward. Moses, the servant of God, gave it to them. This land extended from Aroer at the edge of Arnon Gorge and the city in the middle of the valley, taking in the entire tableland of Medeba as far as Dibon, and all the towns of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who ruled from Heshbon, and out to the border of the Ammonites. It also included Gilead, the country of the people of Geshur and Makkah, all of Mount Hermon, and all Bashan as far as Salakah, the whole kingdom of Og and Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He was one of the last survivors of the Rephaim. Moses had defeated them and taken their land. The people of Israel never did drive out the Gershurites and the Maccathites. They're still there, living in Israel. Levi was the only tribe that did not receive an inheritance. The fire gift offerings to God, the God of Israel, are their inheritance, just as he told them. Reuben. To the tribe of Reuben, clan by clan, Moses gave the land from Aroer at the edge of Arnon Gorge and the town in the middle of the valley, including the tableland around Medeba, Heshbon on the tableland with all its towns, Dibon, Bamoth Baal, Beth Baal Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth, Mephath, Kirithaim, Sibmah, Zareth Shahar on Valley Mountain, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Jishmonth, all the cities of the tableland, the whole kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who ruled at Heshbon, who Moses put to death along with the princes of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, who lived in that country, all puppets of Sihon. In addition to those killed in battle, Balaam, son of Beor, the soothsayer, was put to death by the people of Israel. The boundary for the Reubenites was the bank of the Jordan River. This was the inheritance of the Reubenites, their villages and cities, according to their clans. Gad. To the tribe of Gad, clan by clan, Moses gave the territory of Jazer and all the towns of Gilead, and half the Ammonite country as far as Aroer near Rabith, the land from Heshbon to Ramoth, Mizpah and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the region of Debir. In the valley, Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, and Saphon, with the rest of the kingdom of Sihon, king of Heshbon, the east side of the Jordan, north to the end of the Sea of Kinnereth. This was the inheritance of the Gadites, their cities and villages, clan by clan. Half-tribe of Manasseh. To the half-tribe of Manasseh, clan by clan, Moses gave the land stretching out from the Mahanaim, all of Bashan, which is the entire kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the settlements of Jair in Bashan, 60 towns in all. Half of Gilead, with Ashtaroth and Edrei, the royal cities of Og and Bashan, belonged to the descendants of Machir, the son of Manasseh. In other words, the half-tribe of the children of Machir for their clans. This is the inheritance that Moses gave out when he was on the plains of Moab, across the Jordan, east of Jericho. But Moses gave no inheritance to the tribe of Levi. God, the God of Israel, is their inheritance, just as he told them. 14. Land west of the Jordan. Here are the inheritance allotments that the people of Israel received in the land of Canaan. Eleazar, the priest, Joshua, son of Nun, and the heads of the family clans made the allotments. Each inheritance was assigned by lot to the 9.5 tribes, just as God had commanded Moses. Moses had given the 2.5 tribes their inheritance east of the Jordan, but hadn't given an inheritance to the Levites, as he had to the others. Because the sons of Joseph had become two tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, they gave no allotment to the Levites, but they did give them cities to live in with pastures, rights for their flocks and herds. The people of Israel followed through exactly as God had commanded Moses. They apportioned the land. Caleb. The people of Judah came to Joshua at Gilgal. Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, spoke. You'll remember what God said to Moses, the man of God, concerning you and me back at Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of God, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. And I brought back an honest and accurate report. My companions who went with me discouraged the people, but I stuck to my guns, totally with God, my God. This was the day that Moses solemnly promised, the land on which your feet have walked will be yours in inheritance, you and your children's forever. Yes, you have lived totally for God. Now look at me. God has kept me alive as he promised. It is now 45 years since God spoke this word to Moses, years in which Israel wandered in the wilderness, and I am here today, 85 years old, and I am as strong as I was the day Moses sent me out. I'm as strong as ever in battle, whether coming or going. So give me this hill country that God promised me. You yourself heard the report that the Anakim were there with their great fortress cities. If God goes with me, I will drive them out, just as God said. Joshua blessed him. He gave Hebron to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as an inheritance. Hebron belongs to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and the Kenizzite still today, because he gave himself totally to God, the God of Israel. The name of Hebron used to be Kiriath Arba, named after Arba, the greatest man among the Anakim, and the land had rest from war. 15. Judah. The lot for the people of Judah. Their clans extended south to the border of Edom, to the wilderness of Zin in the extreme south. The southern border ran from the tip of the Salt Sea, south of the Tongue. It ran southward from Scorpion's Pass, went around Zin, and just south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it ran past Herzon, ascended to Adar, and curved around to Karka. From there it passed along to Asmon, came out at the brook of Egypt, ending at the sea. This is the southern boundary. The eastern boundary, the Salt Sea up to the mouth of the Jordan. The northern boundary started at the shallows of the sea at the mouth of the Jordan, went up to Beth Hogla, and around to the north of Beth Araba, and to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. The border then ascended to Debir from Trouble Valley and turned north toward Gilgal, which lies opposite Red Pass, just south of the gorge. The border then followed the waters of Enshemith and ended at Enrogel. The border followed the valley of Ben Hanan along the southern slope of the Jebusite ridge, that is Jerusalem. It ascended to the top of the mountain opposite Hinnom Valley on the west. At the northern end of Rephaim Valley, the border then took a turn at the top of the mountain to the spring, the waters of Nephtoah, and followed the valley out to Mount Ephron, toward Bala, that is Kiriath Jearim. Took another turn west of Bala to Mount Sur, curved around to the northern shoulder of Mount Jearim, that is Kesalon, descended to Beth Shemesh, and crossed to Timnah. The border then went north to the ridge of Ekron, turned toward Shikharon, passed along to Mount Bala, and came out at Jabneel. The border ended at the sea. The western border, the coastline of the Great Sea. This is the boundary around the people of Judah for their clans. Joshua gave Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a section among the people of Judah. According to God's command, he gave him Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron. Arba was the ancestor of Enoch. Caleb drove out 3 Anakim from Hebron, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, all descendants of Anak. He marched up from there against the people of Debir. Debir used to be called Kiriath Sepher. Caleb said, "Whoever attacks Kiriath Sepher and takes it, I'll give my daughter Askah to him as his wife." Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother, took it. So Caleb gave him his daughter Askah as his wife. When she arrived, she got him to ask for farmland from her father. As she dismounted from her donkey, Caleb asked her, "What would you like?" She said, "Give me a marriage gift. You've given me desert land. Now give me pools of water." And he gave her the upper and the lower pools. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Judah, clan by clan. The southern towns of the tribe of Judah in the Negev were near the boundary of Edom: Kabzeel, Eder, Jagur, Kena, Dimona, Adada, Kadesh, Hazor, Ithnan, Zip, Telem, Beliath, Hazor Hadath, Kiriath Hezron, that is Hazor, Amam, Shema, Moladah, Hazar Gada, Heshmon, Beth Pelet, Hazar Shual, Beersheba, Bizonthia, Bala, Iam, Ezem, Altalad, Kessel, Hormah, Ziklag, Medmana, Sinsana, Leboath, Shilhim, Ain, and Rimmon, a total of 29 towns and their villages. In the Shephelah, the western foothills, there were Eshtaol, Zorah, Ashna, Zenoah, Engannim, Tepuah, Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Sokoth, Azkah, Sheriam, Adithium, Gedera, or Gederothium, 14 towns and their villages. Zenan, Hadashah, Migdal Gad, Dilian, Mizpah, Joktheel, Lachish, Bozkath, Eglon, Kabon, Lamas, Kitlish, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Nama, and Makkedah, 16 towns and their villages. Libnah, Ether, Ashan, Iptha, Ashna, Nazib, Kela, Akzib, and Marishah, 9 towns and their villages. Ekron with its towns and villages. From Ekron west to the sea, all that bordered Ashdod with its villages. Ashdod with its towns and villages. Gaza with its towns and villages, all the way to the brook of Egypt. The great sea is the western border. In the hill country, Shamir, Jatir, Soka, Dana, Kirias-Sana, that is Debir, Anab, Estima, Anim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilo, 11 towns and their villages. Arab, Duma, Ishan, Janim, Beth Tappuah, Ephakah, Humta, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, and Zior, 9 towns and their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, Juttah, Jezreel, Jokdeam, Zonoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 towns and their villages. Halhol, Beth Zur, Gedor, Merath, Beth Anoeth, and Eltekon, 6 towns and their villages. Kirath Baal, that is Kirath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 towns and their villages. In the wilderness, Beth Araba, Middin, Sekaka, Nibshan, the city of salt, and En-Gedi, 6 towns and their villages. The people of Judah couldn't get rid of the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. The Jebusites stayed put, living alongside the people of Judah. They are still living there in Jerusalem. Recap, day 85, Joshua 12 through 15. Yesterday, the Israelites won a lot of wars and took a lot of land. So today we open with the summary of what land they acquired and unfamiliar boundaries that seem unimportant. However, they were deeply important to the people at the time, and these lists have served our faith historically and archaeologically. Hang in there during these dry spots. They serve a greater purpose than entertainment. The land they conquered when Moses was still alive is the area east of the Jordan River, where the 2.5 Transjordan tribes live: Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Unfortunately, the Transjordan tribes didn't drive out all the people who lived there. We'll continue to see how this act of disobedience causes them trouble through the years. When we cross the Jordan River heading west into the Promised Land, we see the areas conquered by Joshua. After all this conquering, Joshua is pretty old, but God says he's not done with him. There's still more land to take, so he's not going to die yet, but God will do the heavy lifting for them and drive out the inhabitants himself. Then Joshua will give the land to the remaining 9.5 tribes. The final tribe, the Levites, have God himself as their inheritance, and they'll be spread out to live among each of the tribes. Then we have an encounter with Caleb. He's the other spy who, along with Joshua, believed God 45 years earlier when they spied out this land. He's talking to Joshua about what they endured, what God promised to them. He recalls following God in the face of fear, and he's ready to do it again, even at the age of 85. He wants to go fight against the Anakim, the giants in the land, and he succeeds with Joshua's blessing and God's direction. Judah is the largest tribe by far, and so they get the largest plot of land. Almost everything they get is desert, but on the bright side, it edges it on Jerusalem. They also get the mineral-rich soil of the Dead Sea. By the way, anytime the word Negeb appears, it refers to the desert. Since Caleb is part of the tribe of Judah, his inheritance falls within their allotment. There's one plot of land promised to him that he asks for help with, and he promises that whoever conquers the city will get to marry his daughter. It probably would have been considered an honor to be the grand prize for the warrior who conquered the most difficult city in the land. His nephew, Othniel, conquers it, and Caleb's daughter makes one request. Since her portion includes the desert, she also wants 2 springs of water. Smart woman. And her dad gives them to her. Today's God Shot. Joshua 13:13 says the Transjordan tribes did not drive out the people of the land, which suggests that they didn't even try. Then 15:63 says, but the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the people of Judah, could not drive out. So the Jebusites dwell with the people of Judah at Jerusalem to this day. Could not, meaning they tried and they failed? Why? If God was with them, why couldn't they just believe in themselves and make it happen? Why couldn't they recall God's promises to them and hold him to his words? God will not be manipulated by our mantras. He made a very specific agreement with them about how the land would be taken, and it involves obedience. They can't just show up with their entitlement and expect God to give them what they want, even when it's what he promised them personally and directly. This unique relationship their nation state has made with God means they have to walk in accordance with the covenant they made. And it seems something is off here. Some sin keeps them from acquiring the land. Does that mean God failed them? No. The story isn't over yet. He's at work, even in these so-called delays, to shape their hearts, to do them good, to defeat their enemies despite the present failure. He's with them when they sin and fail, and he's with you when you sin and fail. Even in failure, trust can grow, faith can be strengthened, and joy can be found. Because he's where the joy is. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back reading again tomorrow.